Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. Back at the desk and working backwards through some movies that we've seen recently. As early as this week, we've watched a couple. Saw an early access screening to The Accountant 2. Really, really dug that movie. Highly recommend seeing that when it comes out next week. Also, just talked about Drop yesterday, which was another fun thriller. Really enjoyed it. Megan Fahey's performance is top end, one of the best you'll see maybe all year. Really had a lot of fun with that one. You want to see my thoughts on that one, you can see them right up there. But today we shift our gears back kind of in the thriller world, more of the spy action thriller, and rather than it being an accountant, we're actually working with actual CIA folks and actual spy and espionage things. And this was a movie that came out last week that was so freaking good. When I saw the trailer, I was excited. I love Rami Malek. I love him in these types of roles. There's a lot of things with his character that reminded me of his Mr. Robot character, and I love when he is in that lane. And it's just a spy thriller that works the whole time and is unique because of the approach that it has with the revenge story that we are getting from Heller, which is the character that Rami Malek plays. What are we talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat? We are getting ready to dive in spoiler free into The Amateur. And I gotta tell you, man, Ken Nolan and Gary Spinelli, who are on the writing side here, really have a good spy thriller on their hands. The character of Heller is so interesting, right? Being a CIA data analyst, someone who can look at numbers and look at, different documents and utilize what he finds in those documents to real life things, being able to make cameras and pull in footage and piece together a giant puzzle. There's a lot of elements in The Accountant 2 that are present in this as well with Heller, where he's the smartest person in the room at all times. And when his wife is tragically killed in a hostage situation and the CIA isn't really doing anything to go take those people down, the way in which he flips to train me so I can go kill these four people. Like, it's so interesting to watch that flip and then to see him go through the training like we've seen the clips of in the trailer with him and Laurence Fishburne, and to get to a place where Laurence Fishburne is like, you can't shoot a gun, you can't kill anybody, this isn't for you. And to see how Heller adapts into creating these elaborate traps for these people to still accomplish what he's looking to accomplish, it was just fun to watch. And I think the way in which this whole thing is structured, like I said, Heller is the smartest guy in the room at all times, and by the time you get to about the midway point, you truly understand he has the upper hand on everybody at all times. You just don't know how he's going to get there. And the way Nolan and Spinelli work their ways through him finding these people and figuring out how to kill them and how to get them to come into his traps, I thought was a wildly fascinating and satisfying revenge thriller. And to see his evolution too, like the first time ain't as smooth as when you get toward how he's operating toward the back of the movie, and just the people that work with him, that help him. Like, you bring in characters around him that are either infuriating, so you really want to see him succeed, or interesting and intriguing enough that you want to be able to trust them and you want these people to be able to help him out. And I just think the storyline works really well. And then when you look at what James Hawes is doing behind the camera, the thing at the heart of this movie is the relationship between Heller and his wife Sarah. And Sarah's played by Rachel Brosnahan, who does tremendous work always, but she's not in the movie very long. And it's one of those things where when you give us in the trailer that she's gonna die, I don't need 30 minutes establishing that relationship so that I can feel connected to those characters and want revenge as bad as Heller does. And I think what Hawes and the writing team do here is find very small things that allow us to get to that point and allow us to get there really quick because we know she's going to die. And there's one scene in particular, like when the movie opens, she's going to a conference in London, and Heller had the chance to go but opts to stay because that's just the type of person he is. Like, he very much thrives in being this analyst at the CIA and is a little socially awkward and not really great at traveling or getting outside of his sphere. And, you know, she always asks him to come when she leaves and he doesn't. And you understand how that works with the two of them in just like one quick scene. And then when she's leaving, he's like running next to the Uber, like kissing her and like doing little things and like waving goodbye, and it's super cringy and it's super like awkward when you watch it, but it's one of those things that, like, even though it's a little corny and cheesy, it allows you to understand that relationship immediately. And then we don't have to waste time building out their relationship. We can take her off the board and really get into what we're here for. And what's nice is they do sprinkle elements of Sarah throughout the movie. Like, Heller sees her at times, and you do get flashbacks and get more things that connect them. But in a very short amount of time, you understand that relationship, you understand how much they're in love, and you understand that even though it is very out of his element, Heller's going to do what Heller needs to do to get things done. And I love watching how Hawes brings us in and out of all of the different scenes. Like, when he presents the findings that he has to the CIA, how that's represented is really cool and allows you to kind of see how his brain works. As he starts to set up these different traps, the chaos of the early ones and the nerves of the things that he's doing in order to pull off some of the stuff he's trying to do, how he presents himself to people. And then as you go through the movie, realize some of this was purposeful and set him up to do the things that he wanted to do. I just really enjoy how Hawes moves through this movie. And the thing that I think is interesting is, especially after seeing something like The Accountant 2, where the camera work and the visualization of the movie is so dynamic that it really elevates everything. I thought the camera work and stuff here is good, but it's very traditional. Like, the way the camera moves, the way you were presented this spy espionage thriller feels like stuff we've seen before. And that familiarity, both with the cinematography and even with the score. Like, again, I think the score is really good for a spy suspense thriller and does what it's supposed to do, you know, get you to feel what you're supposed to feel with whatever's going on in the scenes, but it's subtle enough that it doesn't necessarily stand out and jump out at you. And sometimes I think that could be a negative, but a movie like this, having the camera work and the scoring just be solid, but not in your face, really allows you to dive into the mystery and dive into the things that Heller is doing. Like, we know who the four people are, but how he's going to find them and how he's going to lure them out and how he's going to get them into these traps, you really are mentally engaged with that element, and then you're really locked into what Rami Malek is doing on screen. Like, the performance is what drives the movie, and I appreciated that the cinematography and the score were subtle enough that all the other elements of the movie were raised and really the thing that's in the forefront, and that's what gripped me and pulled me into the movie. And when you look at the performances, I mean, Rami is so freaking good, and it's one of these things where you can see him play these weaker type characters, and you kind of have to remind yourself, like, we've seen this man be freaking Freddie Mercury. We've seen him be a Bond villain. Like, his range is very wide and he can do a lot of things. But when he is in this type of role, like I said, there were a lot of Mr. Robot vibes, and I dug that. But there were things that made him unique to Heller, you know. And like I said, the love he feels for his wife, that loss, the way he portrays that and feels that in the movie really connects you to it. And then seeing him think through things and work on the fly, like that first attempt is super chaotic, and you're seeing him adapt and realize that, like, you can plan everything out meticulously, but when you're in the field, you have to be able to adapt and be able to shift. And seeing him do that throughout the course of the movie is really enjoyable. And then the different people that they just have acting opposite off of him, When he's in with the CIA guys who are played by Holt McCallany, who plays the director, Director Moore, and Danny Sapani, who plays Caleb, kind of like his right hand. Like seeing him bounce the ideas off of them, seeing them fake care, just give you things that like drive you as much as it's driving Heller. And I think their execution around those moments makes you hate them and makes you root so hard for Heller. Seeing him interact with his own people, like Adrian Martinez, who plays another analyst, really, I think, set a tone for what the day-to-day looks like for him. And to see their response to things that are happening to him give you an idea of how far he's willing to go and how far he can step out of his zone that maybe some other people that he works with could never do. His chemistry with Rachel Brosnahan is tremendous. She's in it so little, but she takes advantage of every scene she is in. She really, really delivers, especially in that hostage situation. And there are little things about how she acts, things that she does that inform you about her character and inform you about that relationship. And that chemistry being as good as it is for those brief times is what connects you to the character so much. And then I absolutely adore him when he is opposite Laurence Fishburne. That relationship is so fun because Fishburne is this no nonsense. I don't remember if he's a general or a sergeant, whatever he is, but he's like the head of like the training for the CIA. And to watch them go through the training and see how badly, Heller struggles, and then to see how Fishburne's character will rib him creates a chemistry that where it's like you want these two guys to get along and be buddies. But once Heller starts going outside of what he's supposed to be doing, they do kind of become two people that are, going this way with each other. And when they butt heads, when there are moments where they're chasing each other, all of that stuff is just really well executed. Fishburne is so good in the role. And like I said, I think him and Heller have some of the best chemistry in the movie. And because of that relationship of what their jobs are asking them to do, creates some really interesting, unique dynamics between those two characters. And then John Bernthal, we were just talking about him in The Accountant too. He's great here. He has a super small role, but he's like the CIA dude. Like, you need to go get something done. Clearly, you give it to this guy, and he goes and does it. And because Heller helps him with a computer issue, he kind of loves the kid. And you can tell that, like, the relationship that they have, Heller wants it to be more of a friendship, whereas Bernthal's character, the bear, I mean, that's what they call this dude, the bear, is more like self-serving in some degrees. He pops up at one point in the movie, and you understand that self-serving nature isn't necessarily all the bear is. Like, he does have a little bit of a soft spot for him because this kid has helped him out, and he imparts some wisdom and comes into the movie at a really interesting place where the conversation they have is so interesting, and it's one of those, like, in the back of your head as you're watching Heller evolve. I'm very similar to The Accountant, where I felt like I was like, you could make a sequel to this movie. You could bring Heller into the field, and it would be so much fun, very much like The Accountant, to see this character of Heller working with the bear. Like, that would be really, really cool. And I think what Bernthal gives you kind of sets up a vibe where it's like, if we ever come back to this world, we should put these two guys together and go do something. And all of those performances off of what, Malek is doing are really strong. They're really good in the supporting lens. And this is a movie that is really all about Rami Malek, and he crushes. Like, Heller is such a good character. His execution is so good. And when you have a strong script and you have a director who's willing to present things in a way that really puts Malek front and center to carry the whole movie, that performance is why the movie works. And the story that we get, I think, is interesting. It's fun, and it is a really good spy thriller. So let's get the Sea Maniacs up. Like I said, I really dig what you get behind the camera from James Hawes. I think he knows the things that make the movie work, knows how to keep them at a level that's good. Like, the cinematography is solid, doesn't necessarily jump out at you. The score, really solid, doesn't necessarily jump out at you. That allows Rami Malek to jump out at you the whole movie, and that performance just is grounded. It feels real. He feels like a fully formed character. He's a character that has a lot of interesting layers to him, and the way his brain works allows him to do things in the movie where you're just like, I'm always rooting for this guy, and I'm always interested to see what it is that he's setting up, specifically how this movie wraps up. Like, the third act is just so well executed. The script is super strong from Ken Nolan, Gary Spinelli, and Robert Little, and all the performances, like I said, around Malek just elevate him and put him in a position where Heller is a character you want to ride with, you want to root for, and I would be 100% down to ride with again. The Amateur, for me, is getting a 4 out of 5 Sea Maniacs. Really dug this movie. Really would love to see it come back and get more time and stories with Heller. The question is, what about you? Have you seen The Amateur? And if you did, what'd you think? Did it work as a spy thriller? Did it check the boxes that you had going in? Did it do things that surprised you? Did you like the elaborate traps and how Heller sets things up and how his brain works? Was his character annoying, too, pathetic and little to buy what was going on? Or did Malek really make you believe that Heller could be who Heller becomes by the end of the movie? And if you haven't seen it, is this on your to-do list? Is this a type of movie that you would watch? What we've talked about, anything jump out at you to make you want to go see it? Would you wait for it to be at home? I do think this is a movie you could watch on streaming, but it is unbelievably satisfying in theater. There's also some really nice humor beats where I had a packed out theater the night I went with my parents, and it was very interactive, not in an annoying way, but in a way where it was nice to be in a packed out crowd. So is that for you? Will you wait for it to come to streaming? Anything you got, good, bad, indifferent on The Amateur, put it down below in the comment section. Look forward to talking to you down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the C-Man anytime. We're talking movies, TV, trailer reactions. Weekly, we'll be talking about The Last of Us. So if you dig that show, you want some good coverage and content around that, trying to get that stuff out weekly. You want to be here for any of the other movies that we're talking about. You just dig the vibe. You want to show a little love and support to the old C-Man. Come join C-Maniac Nation. Super easy. Jump over there. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell if you want those alerts. Until next time for the C-Man Cinema Sit Down. I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace.
C-Maniac Nation, you look nervous. Is it the scars? Would you like to know where I got them? No? Well, then maybe you'd like to see another video with the C-Man. How about up here or over here? And if you really dig the C-Man, well, then show him a little love right over there.